Hi, everyone. This is Michelle Gramoglia, the President and CEO here at Woodland Pond, and this is my weekly address for a Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, April 25th, 2023. I've got a couple of things for my weekly address this week, and I'm going to start with some very exciting news. If you have been to our health center this week, which I know it's only a Tuesday, but that would be yesterday or today, you will notice that the mask signs have come down, and you will notice that a lot of the staff and the guests are not wearing masks. And you might be wondering, why is that? And that is because the CDC guidance that we follow for mask wearing in the health center has allowed that we have the ability to not require mask wearing for COVID reasons at this time. What that means is that the CDC requires that when your county is in what's called a high rate of transmission, and this is different than a high rate of COVID, but it's a high rate of transmission as determined by the CDC and as measured by the CDC, that you must require masking in certain healthcare facilities. So it has to either be a high or substantial rate of transmission. And Ulster County and many of our surrounding counties have been in that rate of transmission for more than 3 years, which is why we have been wearing KN95 or N95 masks for years. Crazy to think about. But a couple weeks ago, the transmission rate in Ulster County dropped to moderate, which is fantastic. And that's the same thing in the surrounding counties. So the CDC guidance allows that we can now make mask wearing optional for COVID reasons in the health center. So you will see that many, if not most, of staff and guests are no longer masking. You will see staff that are continuing to wear masks because the prior to COVID masking guidance in skilled nursing still exists. And what that means is that because it is still the flu season in New York State, as declared by the New York State Department of Health, anyone that is not vaccinated for the flu is required to wear a surgical mask when it is flu season. So as you all know, it is a requirement that all staff be vaccinated for COVID, but it is optional for staff to be vaccinated for the flu. This is a requirement that precedes COVID. But those staff that are not vaccinated for the flu, or anyone that chooses to wear a mask, is immunocompromised, has been exposed to COVID, chooses to wear a mask, as I said, certainly can continue to mask. Our masks for COVID purposes will have to go back into effect if we have a known case of COVID in a health center employee or resident, and they will have to go back into effect for the 14-day period. Normal testing will have to resume, and that is regardless of the transmission rate in Ulster County. So we still have to follow the CDC guidance. That doesn't go away. We still have to measure the transmission rate in Ulster County every week, but we don't measure it actually. We have to, it comes out every week. Every week, I think on a Thursday, that gets updated. So we have to, of course, monitor that. But this is great news. And it really is a big relief for the staff and for the guests and for the residents to be able to see people's faces and to know that it's pretty freeing to not have to wear your mask. So of course we'll be able to continue to monitor things. We haven't had a case of COVID, knock on wood, really in a very long time, whether it be in independent living or in the health center, and even in an independent living where we have seen cases pop up in residents pretty regularly over the last year or more, with the very high vaccination rate that we have and the relatively mild strains of COVID that we've seen. We really haven't seen any significant or serious illness. So, certainly the illness itself has changed, at least it appears to have been. So it's not where we were 3 years ago by any means. So we're very excited about that, and we'll continue to monitor the situation as it goes on. On sort of the same topic, some of you have asked me about what I know about the news related to a new vaccine that has been announced. The news is still sort of developing on that. We do not have any specific information about access to a vaccine. When we do, we will let you know. Access to a new vaccine will first be, typically the way it works is it first is available to our health center residents through our pharmacy relationship. That's how it generally works. And then if we are able to access a vaccine through that relationship for independent living residents, we will let you know that. My understanding currently is that the new bivalent booster that was or vaccine that was announced is for folks that are 65 or older or immunocompromised. This is not a wide scale vaccine, although it would be applicable for most of our residents, as most of you are over age 65. Although not all immunocompromised, most of you are over age 65. What I would recommend, if you're particularly interested in accessing a vaccine or a booster at this time, is to speak to your primary care physician. And then as we get more information, of course, we will let you know. Let's see, dining point of sale update. We are in the last week before the new point of sale system goes into effect next Monday. So that's very exciting. This is primarily for the main dining room, although it will have other benefits throughout the community. This week, we want you to make sure that you're keeping your receipts in the main dining room so that next week, we can make sure that those balances get transferred over at some point during the week next week. Because this is going to start on May 1st, everyone that is dining in the main dining room will start with your $300 per person balance. If you're part of the dining program, that's obviously all the residents. That's not going to be for staff or for health center residents, but everyone will start. And then if your balance doesn't immediately carry over, don't worry, we'll get that all sorted out next week. Wednesday through, I think, Friday of this week, we're going to be doing training concurrently on the new system and using the old system at the same time, so that the staff can be using the new system while the old system is still in place, so that we have a redundancy there. So that's going to be training that's going on. We need to make sure that every resident and staff member that plans to dine in the main dining room, the bistro, the pub, everyone registers your ID badges with Ruth at the hostess station. So if you haven't done that, you really need to make sure you do that before May 1st. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to, use your badge to do the meal service, which you need to do. And you'll know if you've done that because you'll have a smiley face sticker on the back of your badge. And then we're going to be doing the web portal invitations with concierge. That's if you would like to use the web-based portal for connecting into the new point of sale system. And then we're going to go live with this on Monday. So this is going to be great. Really excited about this. We've got some critical positions that either have just opened or will be opening up, and we really need everybody's help in recruiting for them. Some of our staff have gotten some pretty exciting employment opportunities that, as much as they love Woodland Pond, they just couldn't pass up. A couple have been offered opportunities that they really had their eyes on, whether it be a union position that they really have always wanted with great benefits, or pension, or just something that's really going to work for their lifestyle or their family. And so we are hiring for a maintenance technician. That position's been open for quite a while. We've received a bunch of applicants, but the ones that we've gotten have been really overqualified. So we're looking for a maintenance tech. We're looking for now a preventative maintenance tech as well. Unfortunately, we're going to be losing Ethan. He's been great, but we are going to be losing him. Same thing with Carl. We're going to be hiring for an HVAC tech. And, so if you know anybody that's in heating and ventilating and certified, we are going to be hiring for that position. And we do still have one full-time registered nurse position that we're hiring for. So we've made some really great strides in recruiting for licensed practical nurses, and our CNA program relationships with BOCES is really coming to fruition. We've got a whole bunch of certified CNAs that are going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks, and then another class is going to be coming out at the beginning of June. So that's going to be fantastic. But we are looking for a full-time RN for skilled nursing. So if you know anyone, please do send them our way. Tom asked me to remind everyone again that if you have any heating or cooling issues at all, please do contact us right away. He talked about some management Q&A last week. that this is a time of year that when the AC units start to go back online, you know, we do see the coils start to freeze. It's been a lot better since we started doing the cleaning of the coils, probably a year or year and a half ago. But we need you to report any issues with your heating and cooling units right away. So call concierge, call reception. We have somebody to answer the phones 24/7. It doesn't mean somebody's gonna come 24/7, because we don't have a maintenance tech in the middle of the night. But just to get that work order in so that we can make sure that we have report of that. Please do not wait. Rob has asked me to remind everyone that as it's getting warmer, our request or requirement really is that if your apartment or cottage is not at 75 degrees or cooler by the time your housekeeping staff arrives at your place, we are not going to do the cleaning. Anything greater than 75 degrees is too warm for our staff to be able to safely and comfortably do your cleaning. So please make sure that on the day of your cleaning that you've turned your heat down or your air conditioning up such that by the time they've arrived, it's reading at 75 in the room. So it's not that you just turned it to 75, but that it's already, you know, at 75 or less. And Rob has asked me to remind you of that. And the most important thing, and this is really, really a very important safety issue, I'm going to be putting the signs back. And we had these up for many years. I'm going to be putting this back up in the dining room or at the entrance to the main dining room today. It is a critical safety component in our dining policy in the resident handbook that every resident is required to relinquish your assistive devices, so your walkers, your wheelchairs in the main dining room and really all of the dining rooms. And we really need to do more education with the staff, but we need the residents to be the impetus for this. We've had some really significant near misses and some actual incidents that have happened where we've had residents that have tripped and fallen, and we just can't continue to see the number of walkers and wheelchairs and power mobility devices in the main dining room, in the pub, in the card room, in the pack. So we're really going to be enforcing this again. So the expectation and the way the policy reads in the main dining room, and you should think about this for all of the public spaces, is once you are seated in the dining room, our staff will remove your walker for you or your wheelchair or your power mobility once you're seated in the dining room chair and put it in the cart room. That is what the cart room is for. The cart room is actually not for the metal carts. The metal carts never used to exist. They have come over time because residents have asked for those as a courtesy. But the cart room initially was for all of the assistive devices, the wheeled walkers, the wheelchairs, and the power mobility devices during dinner time. But that's what needs to happen, because anytime we have a walker at the side of the table or a wheelchair is pulled up to the table, or a power mobility device, those are all creating significant trip hazards for our staff, for residents, for guests, and our policy exists for a reason, and it's because we don't want to see people get hurt. So we are asking you all to please be mindful of this and to please cooperate. We don't want there to be situations where our staff are sort of getting into a contentious situation with a resident at a table side. So I'm personally asking you to please cooperate with this. So please be mindful of this. I will be, as I said, putting the sign back at the main entrance to the dining room. It's unavoidable at this point. We just need that reminder, that visual reminder that these are not supposed to be there. So if you do use a wheelchair or power mobility device, the way the policy reads is that if you can safely transfer from that device into the dining room chair, that you are required to, and that we will then remove that device and then bring it back to you at the end of the meal so that you can safely ambulate out of the dining room. So our staff is there to assist you, but you do need to allow us to take that out of the dining room for you. I always also recommend that if you're concerned about mobility and you can safely use a cane, that you bring a cane with you as well. And then that way, if you're concerned about having something there with you and you've had to give up your walker or your wheelchair, that you can safely use a cane, that you can bring a cane with you to have there at the table side, but those have to be safely tucked away. So it's not 100% solutions. You have to be very mindful of that as well. If you have any questions about any of this, you can find that policy right in your handbook. You can ask concierge for a copy, or you can find it in the library if you don't have it. But we do really have to be better about this as a community, and I'm working closely with my management and team and the staff to understand their role in enforcing this, and that it's not, you know, trying to be meanies, but it's really a safety issue. So that's all that I have for today. I hope you all know where to find me. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next week. Thank you.